Hello fellow traders, and welcome to another trade review with Tracy. Before we get started, I'd like to remind you that if you find value in these videos, click the like button below, click the subscribe button and the notification bell so that you will be notified of any future content that I upload. As usual, I welcome all of your comments, questions, tips, and tricks. Just throw them in the comments below and I'll get to them as soon as I can. Also, if there's a trade that you would like me to review, stock that you'd like me to review, please put that in the comments below along with the date that you'd like me to review. If you played it and you'd like some feedback on how you played it, please also put what you did, your entry, your exit, how you managed the trade, and I'd be happy to do that in my subscribers' weekly trade review at the end of the week. So happy trading, everybody. Manage your risk and take care. Hey everyone. All right, so today what I want to talk about are continuation patterns. And I want to just discuss some of the things that I look for in continuation patterns. Particularly, I want to look at Roku and go over the difference between the continuation today versus the continuation on July 10th and the continuation on April 16th. So now the first thing that I want to do, I'm just going to switch to a side-by-side chart so I can compare the two. If I look at this one, that's today, and if I go to here, and go to July 10th, right. So in this particular case, if you look at July 10th, and the 1 minute actually is just as clear. It basically opened and immediately it closed above the prior high of the prior day. It closed above the prior high of the prior day, as well as the VWAP and the moving averages. There was no resistance in front of it. It had cleared all of it. And from there, it continued to move higher. It was a really good continuation move that allowed for, you could easily get a good 2-hour trade out of it. Today, on the other hand, first of all, it closed as an indecision candle. The 2 minute closed as an indecision candle below resistance, above the VWAP, so kind of in no man's land, not really sure what it wants to do. That doesn't show strength to me. It then retests down, tries again, and then gets rejected. So in this particular case, it didn't show the strength that I wanted to see. I would have waited for a retest lower. A lot of these big candles, let's go back to a main chart here and to the daily. A lot of these big candles will retest about 50% of their move the prior day. So what I want to see for a continued move higher is that strength coming right out of the gate. And if we look at April 16th, the continuation higher after a fairly decent move. So that's April 16th. Let's go to the 2 minute. April 16th. And all right, so April 16th. Now what you'll see here is right out of the gate, once again, it opens and immediately moves higher, closes above the VWAP. Now, this already gapped above the prior day high, so that gave it some strength to begin with. But as you'll see, the retest does not close back into the prior day value area. It stayed above the high. It didn't even close inside that high. It retests that area, regains the VWAP, and then continues higher for a really nice move. That showed strength to me, gave some insight into which direction it was heading. So those are the things that I was looking for. Today's move, once again, let me just get out of here. Today's move didn't show that same strength. Once again, I'm going to reiterate that it closed below the EMAs, between the VWAP, sold off a little bit. It did throw in a lower wick, which could be thought of as a trap, but in this particular case, It regained the VWAP, but it still had all this resistance that it had to clear. And it tried to make it up past this pivot point, gets rejected, and then it sells off from there. So it really wasn't showing the strength. So once I saw this and didn't see any particular strength, I didn't play it. Now what I would do, or what I would recommend, these are a couple options that you can think about for playing Roku anyway, or a move like this, is knowing that these big candles can sometimes retrace about 50%. What I like to do is I don't have a problem entering a trade on a pullback, but what I would do is put probably half of an R as a pullback, a limit entry into here with the hope that it will do one of these and then back out again. That's number one. The second thing is there is a really strong resistance right in this area that we saw in yesterday's video that I showed you with the heat maps on TrendSpider. So if I got a half R fill on the pullback this way, then the other thing that I would consider is filling the other half R if it continued lower, test this prior resistance now support, and then move higher. That's what I would anticipate. Once it gets back into this area right here, if it gets back into this area, that's showing a little bit of weakness, and if it breaks this area here, then this is a failed, and you've almost got a head and shoulders pattern to some degree. So that's what I would be looking for with Roku, and it's how I would have played it. But in particular, I just wanted to go over what I'm looking for in these continuation patterns higher. Now, I do want to take a couple other looks at AMD as an example. So here's another, you've got consolidation area right here. This is the breakout. It's fairly strong. So I want to look at what happens on the 23rd of July. So if we look at the 23rd of July, let's go to the 2-minute, go to July 23rd. July 23rd, and see what happens here. So on July 23rd, you can see that it immediately breaks and closes above the prior day high. The prior day high is right here. I'll just mark that. It's the prior day high. So at that point, I would have said, okay, this is pretty strong. There's probably a continuation pattern happening or a continuation happening. I would have entered my stop limit to continue past that 2-minute. I would have played a 2-minute breakout. And in this case, it never triggered. It just would not have triggered. It was above the VWAP, above the pivot of yesterday's high, and above the EMAs, but it was immediately rejected. It then tries later on in the day to retest that high, looks like a possible double bottom, creates a little evening star reversal at this point, tries again and still doesn't make another high, and then it just plummets from there. That would have been a great opportunity to go short on that third, even that second test of this high and never clearing it. That would have been a good opportunity to go short. So that takes care of that day. And let's see if there was another one in here. August 5th, right here. So here we have a little pennant pattern, another break with really good volume and a good move. So let's take a look at what happens on August 5th. So if we look at the 2-minute again, August 5th. So August 5th, if we take a look at it, and we've got the high of day right in here. That's the high of day. So August 5th opens right here. So we're not clearing the high of day. It immediately sells off. You lose the EMAs, you lose the VWAP. It tries higher later on. It does get to above the high of day, but then sells off immediately again. Now, the initial move was a retrace. It wasn't a strong move forward. So once again, this is another time where I would not have thought, okay, I'm going to take a break of a breakout in the morning. I was going to wait. And particularly on this day, let's just look here again. I would not have played this. I would have been waiting for it. Once it started to retest, I would have been waiting for something down in this area right here. I would have been waiting for it to double bottom in this particular area, and it never did. So this was one that I just would not have played. Now, another example is in Square. If we take a look at Square on July, okay, we're right here, July 1st, you've got a little consolidation pattern. It breaks out, decent volume and a fairly decent sized candle. Let's take a look at the next day. The next day, it opens above the high of the prior day. But if we go to the 2-minute chart and go to July 2nd, the 2-minute chart, right off the bat, you get selling. Now, it doesn't close, it stays above the high of the day, but the next candle retests and then breaks out. That showed some strength to me, and in that particular case, I would have been willing to try a continuation further, but because this candle here retested and then was with strength, but no volume. If you see there's no volume, it's very limited volume. I would have expected that if this had strength, there would have been a lot of volume. But even if you tried doing the break of the high, it wouldn't have triggered. It then immediately gets rejected, you lose the VWAP again, and it continues to sell off from there. So that takes care of all the different examples. I'm sure there's lots of other examples, but those are the only ones that I could find today to discuss this in such short notice. But that's what I'm looking for. So right off the bat, if I want to take a continuation higher, I have to have price above the VWAP. I have to have it above the EMAs and above that pivot of the prior day high. That's what I want to see. Otherwise, I'm going to be looking for a double bottoming pattern at support, something along those lines, and that retrace to the 50% area roughly. If you have any questions, throw them in the comments below, like I said, and hopefully this helps. Have a great day.